Hello, and welcome to The Odd Combo Show, where we hold few rigid beliefs, but many a growing suspicions. Thank you, Robert Anton Wilson, for those curious words of wisdom. This is a place for the seekers, the curious, the questioning, those seeking truth for the sake of truth and knowledge for the sake of knowledge, despite how it may disrupt your current worldview and feelings. Now, we're into all things fringe, esoteric, occult here. We're going to be exploring a lot of things, but primarily this channel stems from my personal experience related to addiction, trauma, and coming to terms with those things and reconciling them through developing a relationship with the spiritual. And trust me, I know that's maybe not what a lot of people want to hear, especially addicts. I know when I was younger and trying to go to like meetings and stuff, that whole higher powered thing was one of the most difficult obstacles for me to overcome in my journey. But I've learned in recent years how crucial it is, and not just for the recovering and healing addict or trauma victim, but for our world. Like, we seem to be in a serious time of a very beautiful, obscure, absurd time to be alive, but it feels very special. But seems to be a crisis of meaning amongst other things going on. Shout out to the Higher Side Chats, Greg Carlwood. If you like fringe esoteric, great podcast, check it out. Wasn't intending to plug that right there, but whatever. We're just doing an introductory episode because I have another channel I've been building upon for a while for my own personal reasons, and now I feel like I've reached a level with that channel where these types of talks deserve their own place, home, channel, platform. Call it what you will. There's so many names for so many things, and we get caught up arguing over names, titles, rather than the ideas behind things. But anyways, I might be rambling. You might experience that with me quite a bit, as I was born with brain damage. I've had many traumatic head injuries. Spent a lot of my life addicted to opiates primarily. I didn't discriminate too much when it came to trying stuff out. But so you may catch me meandering and trailing off, and so just understand I'm doing my best. But this is part of the process, and part of why I'm coming on here is to show that there is hope of healing, and through various ways. There's so many outlets and avenues to educate ourselves out there that so many are wholly unaware of. And not even that, but we've especially if you're in America like myself, we've been raised in this culture and society that not only doesn't teach you how to think for yourself, it teaches you what to think, but it also instills in people that, well, if you don't have these qualifications, you are not qualified to speak on a topic. You're not an expert. Well, we see what good the experts have done for us in recent years, especially. A lot of truth is coming to light over the last few years. I really do think there was something to that Mayan prophecy in 2012, but I don't think it clearly wasn't the physical ending of a world, but an ending of an era, of worlds, of an aeon, the beginning of a new world, so to speak. So there's so many things we're going to be touching upon and exploring, but I think, so what, we're 13 years out now from that, 2012. Um, things have clearly gone in a very different direction, and a lot of truth has come to the surface. And it's going to continue to bubble up to the surface. And the change is happening regardless of what you believe, what you want to happen. We have entered a new era. And part of why this matters, why I'm talking about this, is because from what I've learned in my journey, in my healing, is how crucial that spiritual connection is. And I know how difficult that can be for so many to hear and even fathom, just wrap their heads around. Like to me, it was always common sense that we had a soul or spirit, even though I was not raised religious talking about that. But the spiritual connection to a higher power of your understanding is crucial. But the thing that's difficult about that is, like, yes, you're hearing me say that right now, and those words are hitting your brain, and you're having a response reaction based off of your experience, interpretation, and connection to that concept of God, a higher power. But where I was going with that, my brain just crapped its pants. It does that sometimes. Oh yeah. So, the higher power thing. You're hearing me say that, but it's only hitting you at the depth of which you have an understanding and connection to that concept. What I mean by that is you're never going to find God through another person's lips or experience. Like, you can get a taste, you can, conceptually get an idea, but there's certain things in this world where we have to have a personal, at least one personal encounter, but multiple interactions and confrontations with the spiritual realms and spiritual essence and nature of this reality. I speak from a place of an understanding primarily of a Hermetic philosophy. I definitely have always vibed more with a lot of the mystic traditions, shamanic traditions, Eastern teachings, but I don't, like I said in the beginning, we don't hold many rigid beliefs, but we've got a lot of suspicions, and I'm comfortable not knowing. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people, I feel, need definitive truths, but when you start to peel back the layers of this reality and what might actually be going on, it becomes a lot easier to go with the flow if you learn to accept that by having rigid belief systems. You set yourself up for a lot of disappointment. All the pain we experience is the result of our expectations. So I know that can sound crazy. A lot of people aren't comfortable in chaos. I've had a very chaotic life, so I've learned to have a lot of fun amidst the chaos, and I don't have a need to know definitive answers, because the more you dig, the more you see there is some really beautiful, like, we're a part of something very special. And when I use if and when I use the term God, just know I'm referring to the creator consciousness, the architect of this reality, the one, the all is mind, the universe is mental. Everything stems from a thought, the imagination. So we'll delve in, there's so many more people out there who could like elaborate upon hermetic today, Junior. Hermetic philosophy more so than myself. That's not what I'm here to do. Again, the primary drive behind this is inspired by my experience with a lifetime of addiction, uncovering traumatic experiences that happened extremely early on in my life that I was unaware of for a very long time. I've had a very interesting life. When I was born, I don't know what happened because nobody felt a need to further investigate what happened. But the story I was always told by my parents growing up, which the story we're told in those fundamental years shapes us in some very profound ways that a lot of people take for granted and don't consider very often. But I wasn't alive when I was born. I wasn't breathing. Was apparently taken away somewhere for a couple days before my mom even got to hold me. It's one detail I remember her always saying. And they brought me back a couple days later. Said I had passed. They brought me back, but it was very likely that I was going to grow up with severe brain damage. And I always joke that I walked away mostly unscathed, but stemming from that, if you understand ideas of near-death experiences and some of the people's encounters and the stories out there of people who've had near-death experiences, it's very interesting ideas about how it leaves the subject open to extrasensory phenomena, you could say, especially being so close to have just come from the womb, come here, and then go right back and then be pulled back. I can only imagine I don't have to imagine. I've lived the life of what that does to somebody, but only in past years have I really been going within myself to try and unravel some of these things, because I don't have my family around to talk to. Like my parents were, they were addicts, which I don't know if that had to do with why they never asked the doctors any questions about what happened, or nobody further investigated. But where was I going with that? Sorry, brain cramp in the pants. Anyways, just, even subconsciously, how that can set someone up, what that kind of interface with reality that sets somebody up for. Now I've in later years, I've had various mental health diagnoses, bipolar, 2 separate times, and ADHD, and that was more in recent years. I'll elaborate more on that in further episodes because I have a lot of strong opinions due to my experience with, dealing with Western medicine, we'll say. I don't agree with a lot of the systems we're living in, and it's time for a shakeup. And some of us are here to do that shakeup, and we are waking up and or have awoken already. And that's, partially what this channel is going to be about too, is collecting the tribe, because I know there's a lot of other people out there like me. Um, having a near-death experience right at birth. I had a very interesting dream world, dream life, we'll say. But a lot of things didn't become clear to me until more recent years, when I really started getting on this leg of my healing, my addiction and recovery journey. Because in the past, like I said, I heard so many people say, you got to have a connection you got to have a higher power. I had a huge disconnect with the concept of God most of my life due to what I consider my first memory. And I remember it essentially, in a nutshell, how I remember it. I was probably like 4. My grandmother tried to explain the concept of heaven to me, and it essentially gave me an existential crisis. And I remember just sitting in her shower in the fetal position, just bawling my eyes out, thinking about the idea of forever and going up into the sky. This is based off the way she, interpreted heaven to me. Going up into the sky forever. You're killing me, Smalls. Yeah, it scared the hell out of me because that sounded awful. That sounded awful to me. And I think that's due to, in part, because I've always felt this deep intuitive connection to some sense of spirit, even before I knew the concept of spirit. Like, having a soul was always just common sense to me. And I don't know if it was the way she described it or if there was something deeper that actually happened with that experience, because there's been quite a few things from my early childhood that have resurfaced in recent years. Some not nice things, trauma and abuse of various sorts. And we're not going to talk about that right now. I'm preparing. This is episode 1, Odd Combo Show, episode 1. So we're going to be talking about a lot of heavy things. No, things are off limit. What I want to do is be an authentic voice for people like me, because this has not always been easy for me to speak like this. I've forced myself into this position over the last few years, because I hit a point in my life where I had yet another world-shattering experience, and I lost my world. I've lost my world many times. And what does that mean? Like, that can mean losing your family, losing a worldview, losing a loved one, losing your concept and grasp, and having your, like, a foundational idea of yours shattered and gone. It's a death of sorts, but the beauty of death is it's every ending is a new beginning. But how we use those beginnings, those new beginnings, is up to us. And sometimes it takes a lot of practice going through these world-shattering experiences to use it to your benefit, to transmute the pain into beauty. Use your suffering to your benefit. Refinement through repetition. And so I know this has kind of been all over the place, but just bear with me. It's early morning. I've been up since 1 a.m. I woke up and have not been able to fall back to sleep sleep at all since, and I have to go to work here shortly. Luckily, it's a beautiful, lovely day up here in New England. But so addiction, trauma, and spirituality. All my attempts at trying to get clean prior to the last 5 years. Again, I heard all of these ideas, but you have to absorb them and be ready to take on and accept the lesson and then receive the blessing. I wasn't ready, and especially because of that experience with God. Anytime I heard somebody start talking about God, up until I was probably like 28, I just subconsciously just tuned it out. I was never humored atheism because that just felt stupid to me. But having a sense of spirituality and soulfulness just intuitively embedded into you so deeply, yet having such a nihilistic worldview will lead to a lot of dissonance. But we're learning, and that's what we're going to share on this channel and continue to share. So all the things I've learned, especially in these last few years, really digging deep and doing the inner work, and again, also share my experience. I don't expect to just learn just by hearing me say it. We all have to go through things and absorb them and process them in our own ways and times, and sometimes it takes a while, but that's okay. I do believe everything has its timing and its purpose, and Brian grabbed his pants again. But we'll probably be wrapping this up soon. It's a lot longer than I wanted to go, and I don't know if this is a very good introductory episode, but we'll probably post it anyways because it felt right. Felt right to go. So this is the Odd Combo Show. I'm your host, Odd Combo, aka Chris Fiato, aka Gordon Jones. You can call me a lot of things. Don't really care. Just know I have love for all of you, even if I don't like you. And we're going to do a lot of cool stuff and things. Ha ha. Popeye.